All right, so for years, there's been this one clock, right? Kind of ticking at the heart of the whole crypto market, setting the pace for all the booms and all the busts. But what if that clock is just broken? Yeah, let's dive into this because today we are going to talk about why that super predictable 4-year crypto cycle, it might actually be a thing of the past. And look, this isn't just some random theory from the depths of the internet. No way. We're talking about some of the biggest voices in the space here. People like Arthur Hayes and Raul. They're the ones pointing to this massive, fundamental shift in how the market really works. And their message, it's crystal clear. The old map, it's just wrong. Okay, so before we can even begin to look at the new map, we got to talk about the old one, right? This is the myth that has guided, countless investment decisions for more than a decade now. And at the very core of this old map was the Bitcoin halving. You know the drill. Every 4 years or so, the reward for mining new Bitcoin gets cut in half. Bam. A predictable supply shock. So you've got less new supply hitting the market. But demand is the same or maybe even going up. And well, prices go up. It seems so simple, so elegant. And honestly, for a long time, it worked like a charm. But something new has popped up. A new piece of data has come out that basically throws a giant wrench into this whole neat and tidy theory. It's suggesting that the real engine driving this market, well, it's not what we thought it was at all. This is where we really have to shift our thinking. So on one side, you've got the old reality, right? The 4-year cycle, where the halving was king. And on the other, you have this new reality, where it's all about a much bigger, much longer cycle. The data is telling us that the whole underlying business and debt cycle has stretched out. And that means the real driver isn't some small internal crypto supply shock anymore. It's something so much bigger. And here it is. This is the number that just changes the whole game. 5.4 years. That is the new average length of the global business and debt cycle. And this is the key, you guys. It turns out crypto prices were never really just dancing to Bitcoin's little internal rhythm. No, they were dancing to this much, much bigger global economic beat. And that beat has changed. Okay, so if the halving supply shock isn't the main character in our story anymore, then who is? Let's find out what's really pulling the strings now. This is the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? If this massive asset class isn't being driven by its own, internal supply schedule, then what on earth is powerful enough to be moving the entire thing? The answer is 2 words: global liquidity. Just think of it like the total amount of cash and credit that's just sloshing around the world's financial system. So when central banks are printing money and getting credit is super easy, this tide of cash just rises and rises. And it has to go somewhere, right? So it flows into stocks, it flows into real estate, and yep, it flows into crypto. A rising tide lifts all boats, and this is a huge tide. And this really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? Look at this. The halving event, yeah, it creates a ripple. It's a real supply event for sure, we're not denying that. But the waves of global liquidity, that's not a ripple. That's a financial tsunami in comparison. The sheer impact of trillions of dollars flowing into the system just completely, utterly dwarfs the effect of a few thousand fewer Bitcoin being made each day. Okay, so let's process this. The cycle is longer, and it's driven by liquidity. Cool. But what does that actually mean for the market? Well, it means we have to completely recalibrate our expectations for when the next big peak is going to happen. Just take a look at this new timeline. The old cycle, it gave us those peaks roughly 4 years apart. We had 2017, then 2021. The 2024 halving just came and went. But according to this new liquidity-driven model, the real crazy part, the speculative frenzy, the peak of this bull market, it's not coming next year. It's being pushed all the way out to 2026. And just so we're all on the same page, when we say the banana zone, yeah, that's some crypto slang. It's that wild, chaotic, totally ridiculous part of the market cycle where prices just decide to go vertical. You know what I'm talking about? It's that final euphoric blow-off top. So we've basically torn up the old map and introduced a brand new one. Let's bring this all home and talk about what this actually means for you. Think of this as your new guide for navigating the crypto waters. So what's the bottom line here? What do you really need to remember? First off, stop treating the 4-year cycle like it's gospel. It's an outdated model. The new thing to watch, the main driver, is global liquidity. That means you need to be paying way more attention to those broader 4-year business and debt cycles. And finally, maybe the biggest one, is you've got to mentally adjust your timeline.
the next massive peak, it might be a lot further away than you thought, with all signs now pointing towards 2026.
So, think of it this way. The market's entire operating system has just been updated. The old map is gone, and this new one, it demands a totally different strategy. The question for every single investor now isn't just when the next peak will be, it's about how you're going to navigate a world where all the old landmarks are gone. Now that the map has changed, where are you going to look for treasure?